Hi, and welcome to my channel. This week, to pair with my foundations of yoga video, which was around Tadasana, I have a grounding sequence which is full of grounding poses, including Tadasana, which we will return to from time to time. So come join me on the mat. We'll take a seat just in our easy sit pose. Go ahead and cross your legs, whichever leg feels comfortable for now. And we'll just take a seat. Palms can rest on top of the knees, either facing down or facing up. And if you feel comfortable, go ahead and close the eyes. We'll just take a moment or two here just to reconnect. This is a grounding sequence, so it is all about connection, those points that connect with the earth. Notice now the points of the body that are touching the mat. Feel them sink stable and strong down into the earth. Those points of connection will carry you through the sequence today and provide you stability and strength as we go from each asana. Grounding poses are perfect for becoming mindful with the breath. They provide us a little space to pause and to bring our mind into the present moment and to avoid staying in the past and dwelling on things that we maybe cannot control or projecting ourselves into the future. Start to feel the inhales as they enter the body and create space. There's a stability within the base of the body, but yet the air and the breath creates a lightness as we grow tall from the crown of the head all the way down to the tailbone. On every exhale, soften as you melt more into the mat. If the eyes were closed, go ahead and blink them open. Reverse the legs, so if your one leg was in front, let's just take the opposite leg in front for the time being. And we'll take a couple of side body leans. The right hand comes out beside the right hip, and we'll just start to lift that left arm in the air, face forward for now, bend into the right elbow. Maybe you can come all the way down to the right forearm, but if not, that's fine. And from here, we'll start to rotate, push into that right hand, and rotate the chest so it's gazing more up to the sky. Maybe the gaze also comes to lift to the sky. And as you side body lean over to the right, open up through those left side ribs, but feel that connection of the left hip staying glued down to the mat. Press down into that hip. On the next inhale, let's push ourselves back up to center, and we'll take that over to the left. So connect the left hand towards the mat. Start to bend into the left elbow as you reach the right arm up and overhead. Keep that right hip glued down to the mat, and then start to rotate the chest as you continue to open in this side body stretch. On an inhale, push back up, come through center. We'll do that one more on each side, leaning over towards the right, reaching with those left fingertips to open, pushing yourself back up through center, and one more over towards the left side. On an exhale, return back to center. Very good. Stay seated, and we'll take the soles of the feet together for our butterfly pose. Draw the feet in as close or as far away from the body that feels comfortable to you, but take the hands and interlace the fingers around the feet as you spread the knees out wide. So from here in your butterfly pose, we're going to push, actively feel the knees push towards the mat. They don't need to touch. In all likelihood, they won't, but we're feeling the inner thighs activate as they stretch and open up those hips and force the knees a little bit further towards the mat, even if it's just a millimeter or two. And we'll hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and on 1, release. Just let the legs relax. They probably float up a little bit. Maybe give them a little wiggle and flap your butterfly wings. From here, we'll take that one more time to inhale. Sit tall and exhale. Press those knees down towards the earth. Really feel the sit bones connect as you sit tall through the torso. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and on 1, release. Relax the legs. Maybe give them a little wiggle once more. And from here, we'll turn over towards the right side and we'll come into our tabletop position. From tabletop, just check your alignment so that the shoulders are over the wrists, the hips are over the knees, and the knees are spread to about hip width distance apart. From here, we'll inhale, allow the belly to drop, and gaze maybe reaches up slightly for our cow pose. Exhale as we push into that mat, pushing the hands like we're pushing the mat away. Draw the tailbone in, drive the shin bones down into the earth. And then inhale, return back to cow. Exhale, cat, rounding the spine, tucking the tailbone, making that Halloween cat shape. Feel the shoulders spread wide across the back. And then inhale to your cow pose. We'll take a few more of these. Go ahead and take them at your own pace with your breath. On the next exhale, we'll return to a tabletop position. From your tabletop, tuck your back toes, widen the knees out a little bit so they're pointing at the outer edges of the mat, and maybe widen the toes a little bit further than hip width distance apart. We're going to walk the hands back, lift the hips up, and shift ourselves into a Malasana or yogi squat. So if you need to adjust, open the feet a little wider, make sure the toes or the feet are at a diagonal so they're pointed at the top corners of the mat. Now you can be down on your heels or you can stay up on your toes. But as we get started here in this Malasana squat, since we are just starting to open up the hips, let's just shift from the right over to the left, shifting more onto those toes. And if you are not on your heels, you may want to lift the hips up and put some of the weight into your hands and use that to shift back and forth in the hips to open them up and start to warm up through the body a little bit. If you are shifting from one heel to the other, maybe you can keep the hands at heart center. Just working into the ankles, the toes, and definitely through the hips. Let's start to come to stillness. If you'd like, you can pop a block underneath your tailbone. Push the knees out with the elbows, sit up tall, keep the back nice and straight. Inhale here and exhale it out. On the next inhale, let's push the hands down into the mat, lift the hips up, and we'll walk the hands out to a plank pose. Pause in your plank pose. Elbows directly over the wrists. Maybe you're up on your toes or down on the knees. That is fine too. From here, we're going to shift forward, bringing the shoulders in front of the wrists and lower down Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. On an exhale, let's push back to our downward facing dog. Very good. First downward facing dog. Again, another chance to ground the body and to recenter the mind. Bring the breath back into our focus with every inhale and exhale. Trying to keep the breath even. Press downward into the heels. They do not need to connect with the mat. We're just feeling for that downward motion. And the tailbone driving up towards the sky. From here, we'll just pick up the left foot, step it in between the hands. Bring the right foot to join it. Hands at the shins. Lengthen the torso for your half waist lift. Again, pointing the tailbone up towards the sky. Feel the length in the back of the legs through those hamstrings. And then exhale, let's forward fold. Drape the chest over the legs. Maybe chest touches the thigh. From here, inhale up. Arms come up to the sky. Gaze up. And then exhale, draw the hands down through heart center. From here, lower the arms, separate them to your sides, and we'll start in our mountain pose. I'd like to begin mountain pose with the feet completely together, so they are zipped up from the toes all the way to the heels, and the legs are zipped up together. And we'll start to find a good foundation in our mountain pose. Keep the big toes together, and while keeping them together, lift the heels, separate the heels about 3 to 4 inches. So now it looks like you have a piece of pizza in between your feet. And the big toes are still connected, but let's now separate the big toes so that the feet are straight and pointing at the top edge of the mat. So now you have your feet at approximately hip width distance apart. That should be a really great judge of where exactly your hip width distance is. From here in your Tadasana pose, working from the ground up, take notice if you're pressing into all 4 corners of the feet. So let's start by spreading the toes out wide, feeling the pinky toe, then the 4th toe, the middle, and the 2nd and big toe just all start to connect into the mat. From here, can you press into that outside edge, the pinky toe edge of each foot? Feel that firmly press into the mat, focusing on the outside edge. Now let's move to the inside, the big toe side of the foot. Push into that inner arch of the foot. Feel that actually make a little dent into the mat. Now let's move back into the heel, the outside of the heel. This is a little more challenging. You may feel yourself lean back slightly as you do this. Press into the outside of the heels. And now shift that to pressing to the inside of the heels. Notice you can't even notice I am moving, but my feet are actively exploring my base and the position they are in on the mat. From here, let's just return to normal. Relax the feet and now activate all 4 of those corners as you can feel all of them driving into the mat. And as you do so, you'll feel the inner arch start to lift up. Your toes should not be gripping into the mat, but they should be firmly pressing down. So we don't want any curled toes, but just toes that are pressing deeply into the mat. Work your way up into the legs, the thighs spiraling outward, and the knees should be drawing up but not locked. From here, we'll take some heel lifts in our mountain pose. So on the inhale, let's shift forward, come up onto the toes, and lift the heels as high as we can. Exhale, lower it down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. We'll do that 6 more times for a count of 8. Inhale, lift up. Slowly lower it back down with control. We'll take 3 more. carefully keeping our balance here as we rise up and down with control, and definitely working into those calf muscles. This is the last one, and lower back down to the mat for your mountain pose. Take an inhale. Exhale, release it out. Feel the shoulders relax. On the next inhale, take the hands to heart center. Lift that left foot, step it far back behind you on the mat, and we'll turn to face the left side of the mat with the toes facing the outer corners. From here, bend the knees, lower down into your goddess squat. So taking a nice deep squat here, or as low as you can feel comfortable. Just make sure that you are challenging yourself to some degree. Keep the knees driving out so they don't collapse inward towards the body. And from here, let's bring the arms up to a cactus position. So it's also challenging the upper body as we hold in this goddess position for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's start to slowly straighten those legs. Bring the hands to the hips, and we'll turn the toes to face that left edge of the mat. Take an inhale, and exhale, we'll forward fold, bending from the hips, slowly lowering into our wide-legged forward fold, and then take the hands to the mat in front of you. Release the torso, release the head, so you fold all the way down. Again, feeling the feet pressing into the mat. Maybe shift the body weight a little forward so you feel a little bit more of your weight come into the ball of the feet. On your next inhale, maybe a slight bend of the knees. Draw the hands to the hips. Come halfway up. Pause. And then continue the inhale. Come all the way up to standing. Turn the toes to face the top edge of the mat, and we'll lower down. Exhale into our warrior 2. Let the hips sink low. The right knee is bent. On an inhale, reverse your warrior. Keep that depth in your front leg as you open up. And then exhale for your extended side angle, either bringing the right forearm to the thigh or fingertips all the way down to the mat. From your side angle pose, let's straighten that right front leg. Lift the left fingertips all the way up to the sky for triangle. Adjust the stance if you need to bring the back foot in slightly. That is perfect. From your triangle, keep a micro bend in the knee as you lift up, keeping the arms as they are, and coming back into your reverse triangle. Exhale it back, return from where you came, and we'll come back into our triangle pose. From triangle, let's sweep that left hand back to the mat. The right hand can come to the outside of the right foot, so you're in this long pyramid shape. But I want you to take that back foot and bring it in about 3 or 4 inches to make space for the right hip. Push the right hip back. The left fingertips stay on the mat or maybe to a block as you start to open up for your revolved triangle. Now, if your stance is a little too long here, it'll be quite difficult to drive the right hip back and pull the left hip forward. So I suggest playing around with your distance. And from here, take the right hand to the right hip, bend into that right knee, and we're going to push forward and lift that left leg. Left hand can come out in front of you by about a foot or so. From here, turn the chest as you take your revolved half moon. Hopefully I didn't step out of frame, but the right arm can also come to the sky if you feel comfortable from here. Holding, grounding down into that right leg, press into the foot, push back into the left heel, and then slowly draw that left foot in. I'm going to step back just a little bit, halfway lift. Hands can come onto the shins. And then exhale, forward fold. Just allow the head to hang deeply. If you'd like to grab a hold of the elbows, or maybe take the back of the legs to get a little deeper stretch here, that's just fine. From your forward fold, inhale, keep the hips low and sink them back as you bring the arms alongside the ears for chair. Yes, we are working deeply into the legs today. Hold here and breathe as you stay strong and stable through the core. Start to slightly tuck the tailbone. Can you take a little balance challenge in your chair pose and come up onto the tippy toes? Holding here for 5, staying low as you can. If the arms are getting tired, bring them to heart center. 3, 2, and 1. Still keep the hips low, but let the heels touch down. And we'll keep the hips low, but lower the torso. So now the torso is parallel with the earth. Maybe the chest and the stomach just gently reaches and rests on the thighs. Arms alongside the ears or heart center. Very good. From here, allow the hands to come down to the mat. Push back into your child's pose and forward fold. Lifting up, halfway lift. And from here, take the feet out at a diagonal and sink the hips down into your yogi squat. If you want to take another little wiggle here, that is just great. We will pause and collect. Bring ourselves back to the breath, especially if we lost it. Keeping the breath coming in and out through the nose, trying to make the inhales and the exhales even. Perfect. From here, lower the hands to the mat, lift the hips up, and you can step back all the way into your plank. Pausing once more in your plank pose, knees lifted or down at the mat. Take an inhale. On the exhale, start to shift forward, bending the elbows, Chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, push back. Downward facing dog. Collect your breath. Inhale here. On the exhale, release it out through the mouth. One more inhale. Exhale, release it out. Again, we'll step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. On the inhale, let's reach up towards the sky. And exhale, hands down through heart center. Pausing here. In mountain, we'll do a variation on our heel lifts. So feet are separated hip width distance apart. The hands are down along the sides. From here, on the inhale, we'll raise the heels just slightly, maybe an inch or less than an inch. And then exhale, lower the heels back down. On the next inhale, lift the heels just a little bit higher. And then exhale it back down towards the earth. Next inhale, come up as high as you can. Lift those feet up off of the floor. Exhale slowly with control, bring it back down. We'll take a couple more rounds of that. Inhale just a little bit. Exhale down towards the mat. Inhale, about halfway up. Exhale down. Inhale it up as high as you can go. Exhale it all the way down. One more round. Inhale just a little bit, maybe an inch, maybe just hovering off the mat. Exhale down. Inhale about halfway. Not too much, just enough. And exhale down. Inhale it up, push into those toes, feel them all connect with the mat, lifting at your very highest here. Hold, 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 hold. And slowly lower it down towards the mat. Fantastic. From here, draw the hands to heart center. We're going to take a big step back with that right leg as we spin ourselves around to face the right edge of the mat, and the toes are at a diagonal. Let's sink those hips down once more for our goddess pose, facing the left side of the mat. Inhale the arms open for cactus arms, and we'll hold this here for 5, 4, 3, 2. Can you sink a little lower? And on 1, let's slowly lift up. Bring the hands to the hips. Point those toes so that they're at parallel with the short edges of the mat. And start to bend forward from the hips. As we come into our wide-legged forward fold, maybe pause halfway. And then release the hands to the mat and the head and the neck. Just relax as you lower down. Hands can stay at the mat, or if you would like to grab the ankles and pull yourself in, draw yourself in a little closer. Again, wherever you are at in this practice, just feel the feet push down and provide that sense of foundation for you. On the next inhale, let's push ourselves up to about halfway. Draw the hands towards the hips, slight bend in the knees as you lift yourself all the way up to standing. From here, take an inhale and then exhale, open up, spread the arms out wide as you lower into our warrior 2 on the left side. Sink the hips. Inhale, reverse your warrior, stay low in that front leg. Feel the back leg activate as you press into the right foot. And then exhale for your extended side angle, coming all the way to the floor. If you want to try that on this side, right arm alongside the right cheek. From your extended side angle, straighten out that the left leg, and then the right arm straightens above you. You feel the shoulder revolving back so that you open up the chest. From your triangle, can you bend that knee just slightly to lift yourself off and reverse your triangle? Reach those left fingertips towards the back side of the room. And then exhale, return back to your triangle pose. Take an inhale here. On the next exhale, let's bring that right hand down towards the mat to the inside of the left foot. Left hand can go to the outside of it. Bring that back foot in about 3 or 4 inches. Make some room for the hips as you pull that right femur back, and then the left hip comes forward. Swing that left arm up towards the sky and open the chest for Revolved Triangle. Pause here for a breath. From your Revolved Triangle, take the left hand to the hip, bend into that left knee, start to shift yourself forward, and the right hand comes about a foot or so in front of you. The right foot stays flexed, and maybe you rotate the chest to open up for your Revolve half moon on this side. Lift the left arm up to the sky, or you can keep it at the hip if that feels good as well. Holding here. Very good. From here, let's just slowly bring that the right foot in and underneath us, and we'll exhale, forward fold. On the next inhale, you know it, we're coming back to that chair pose. Sink the hips down. Press into the feet. Take a nice deep breath as we Keep the side body long. The shoulders are away from the ears. From chair, let's take the balance, shift into the toes as we come into a tiptoe chair. The hips haven't moved, but the toes have lifted off of the mat. Arms can come into prayer if your shoulders are getting tired. Holding for 3, 2, on 1. Keep the hips where they're at. Just sink the heels back. And we'll lower the torso this time to come to parallel. Chest and belly just barely touching the thighs, but you can feel those quads working here. Keep a nice, steady breath. And from this pose, let's go ahead and lift the hips up. Forward fold. Head can sink down. Maybe bend the right knee, bend the left. Kind of work out the little action that we had into the lower body. Very good. From here, let's inhale up tall. Exhale, bring the hands down into heart center. Fantastic. So from here, we are back into our mountain pose. And in mountain, we're going to take a little side body stretch. And I will turn to face the camera so you can see it a little better. So starting in your mountain, feet hip width distance apart. We'll take the hands or the arms up overhead and either grab the elbows or the forearms or the wrists. The elbows are going to be much harder, and it depends on how open you are in your shoulders. That can make it much more difficult. So if you are struggling holding the elbows and you feel that your shoulders just want to creep up towards the ears, go more for the wrists or the forearms. So in your mountain pose, taking whatever arm position that feels good for you, start to lean over towards the right. Feel that left foot. Continue to stay grounded and down into the mat. Inhale as you look up. Open the side body. Keep the ribs knitted inward and the navel draw towards the spine. Inhale up towards center. And then on the next exhale, let's come over to the left. Shifting the right hips out just slightly over to the side for balance. And then returning back to center. Let's do that one more time on each side. Shifting to the right, kicking that left hip over towards the left side. Maybe gazing up a little bit as we try to reach the upper arms to the side of the head, maybe even behind the ear. That really is a big shoulder opener. Come through center and we'll take that back over on the left side. Kick the right hip out. Spiral the chest up to face the sky. Return up to center. And we're keeping the arms up above us, so your shoulders are probably getting tired. Interlace the fingers. Press the palms up to the sky. From here, we'll just take some circles with the torso, coming down, rounding through bottom, and then leaning up towards the left until we come back up through center. We'll take those again to the right, rounding through center, over to the left, and then lifting back up to the sky. Let's reverse it. Now lowering towards the left, through the bottom, hanging heavy, and then come up towards the right and stand tall, making space. Last one towards the left, and then lowering down. Feel that curving in the upper spine, and then return up towards the sky. From here, draw the hands to heart center. Start to draw that right foot in. Maybe use the right hand to guide it to the inner side of the left thigh or the shin or the left ankle. We're now in our tree pose, grounding through the left leg. Feel the stability of the foot and the ankle as it connects to the earth. Draw that left knee up and note to make sure that we're not slumping too far over into the left hip. We don't want to dip too far into that. Lift the arms up into the sky if you would like to take more of a balance. From here, let's draw that right leg in, clasp the hands around the shin, give it a big squeeze as you draw it in towards the torso. Now keep the right hand holding that right leg. The left hand can go to the outside edge of the right foot, or you can use a strap here and extend that right foot out and in front of you. Right hand maybe just resting on the right hip. So pushing out through that right foot, through the right heel. Both of the hips are shining forward. Holding here. Now keep that right leg straight. Start to release the left hand. Draw it over towards the left hip, and we'll hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Keep that right leg straight. Start to draw it back as it brushes the mat, and you come into Warrior 3 on the left side. Hands can stay at the hips or maybe draw them alongside the ears. From here, let's lightly step back with that back foot and land ourselves into a runner's lunge. Very good. From runner's lunge, let's just push back into a downward facing dog. Or take a child's pose if you're ready for it. And from your downward facing dog, inhale the right foot up to the sky, three-legged dog. Let's bring it through as we come to our pigeon pose. So keeping a bend in that right front knee, walk the left leg out behind you, adjust it so it's nice and straight. The heel and the leg is pointing up and we're not rolling onto that leg. Feel your hips so that they're even and that you're not rolling from one side to the other in your pigeon. And now in your pigeon, let's stay upright to begin this posture. And while you're upright in your pigeon, take that left hip and feel the left thigh. Let's just drive that. You're not going to see much movement, but feel your muscles activate and push into the mat on the left side of the body. So push that left hip down, draw that left thigh down. At the same time, you'll probably feel your right hip draw back towards or back to the back side of the mat as you press into the left side. From here, release, and you can start to walk forward in your pigeon. And just relax it down. We'll hold here for just a moment. Collect your energy and feel it rise up from the earth. Feel yourself become stable and strong once more in this position. On the next inhale, push yourself up. Keep the right leg where it's at, and we're going to swing that left leg up and around to bring the left foot to the outside of the right thigh. So we're in a twist. The left hand comes back behind the left hip. Inhale the right arm up to make space, and then exhale as you twist to look behind you, either going for a good old squeeze of the left leg or maybe hook that elbow to the inside of the left leg and look behind you. On the next inhale, create more space. And then on the exhale, maybe you twist a little deeper. Release and unwind. Allow the feet to come out in front of you as you start to balance on your sit bones. Shift back, take the legs up to a tabletop. Maybe the arms come out beside you for boat pose. If you would like a challenge, extend the legs. Maybe bring the arms up alongside the ears. And hold in your boat pose for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release it down, cross the ankles, and from here we'll push up and push back into a downward facing dog. Come forward through your plank and lower down Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, push it back to a downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, we'll just step the feet up to the top of the mat in between the hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up to your mountain pose. Exhale, draw the hands down through heart center. Very good. Starting here in our mountain pose, we'll do some heel lifts. On the inhale, we'll lift up. Draw the arms up overhead as we lift the heels, and exhale, float the hands and the heels back down towards the earth. We'll do that for a count of 10. Let's go 1, inhale up, exhale down. 2, lift, feel light in the body, release. 3, lift it up, almost like we're swimming through the air. 4, make sure the shoulders stay away from the ears. 5, halfway's there. 6, lower it down. 7, on the lower, make sure it's controlled. 8, lift up, feel those calves working. 9, lower it down to the mat. And on the last one, 10, let's hold up at the top. Reach long, feel the fingers plug into the sky. Balance through the toes. Exhale, relax it all down slowly towards the earth. Relax the shoulders, relax the toes and the feet. Maybe wiggle it out a little bit. Very good. We're going to go right back into our balancing posture. Shift the weight over to the right leg. Start to draw that left foot to the inside of the right thigh or the shin, or to the inside of the right ankle. And draw the hands either to heart center or extend the arms up to the sky. Pause here in your tree pose. Use this moment to reassess your alignment, your posture. From tree, can you stay strong in that right leg? Draw that left knee in towards the chest. Interlace the fingers around the front of the left shin and draw it in. Give it a nice big squeeze. From here, we're going to take that balance. Take the right hand to the outside edge of the left foot, or maybe to a strap. As you kick that left foot out, you can keep the left hand on the hip and extend through that left leg. Standing nice and tall through the crown. From here, we're going to release that right hand slowly, draw it back to the right hip, and keep that left leg lifted. It does not need to be very high. So if you need to come down, that's fine. We'll hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and on 1, let's keep that left leg straight as it just sweeps the mat and extends back behind us as we come into our warrior 3 on the right hand side. Maybe take the arms out alongside the ears. And just breathe. Drive that right foot, that right leg is strong, solid foundation beneath you. Start to bend that right knee. Step the left foot back to softly land into your runner's lunge. From your runner's lunge, let's push back into a downward facing dog. Very good. Collect your breath here. Rest the legs, maybe walk it out a little bit if that feels good, or take a quick child's pose. Inhale the left foot up to the sky, and then draw it through to your pigeon pose on the left side. And we'll make this an active pigeon just like we did on the right side. First, set yourself up for success. Keep that right leg straight behind you. Sit up tall. Make sure that the weight is distributed from the left and the right hip so that you're not falling over onto the left side. From here, press that right thigh and the right hip down. Feel that downward motion as it drives into the mat. On the left hip, you probably feel it naturally start to cling and pull in and towards the backside of the mat. Press, press, press with that right hip down, pushing it into the mat, and release. From here, let's go ahead and walk it forward. If you would like to come to your forearms, or maybe all the way down to your hands, and we'll relax for a moment in pigeon. From your pigeon pose, lift yourself up. Keep that left leg right where it's at with the bend in the knee, and we'll swing the right foot around to bring it to the outside of that left thigh. Right hand behind the right hip. Inhale the left arm up and exhale. Either take a squeeze of that right knee, or you can take the bind with the elbow hooked to the inside of the right leg. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, maybe take a little more deeper twist. Hold here for one more breath. And on the exhale, we'll unravel, separate the legs, start to shift back onto the sit bones. Again, take the legs to tabletop with the hands alongside, or for a greater challenge, this can be more challenging for the hip flexors, extend the legs out straight and maybe take the arms up above you. This is an incredible balance challenge, so if you need to keep the arms lower, that is great. From your boat pose, we'll hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release it down. Go ahead and release the soles of the feet to the ground. Sit up tall for a moment, and from here, take the hands to the back of the thighs and slowly shift your way down until your back is flat on the mat. Start to prepare yourself for bridge pose. Maybe bring the heels in a little bit closer and check if your fingertips are just almost reaching the heels. From your bridge pose, the feet should be separated. Start to peel the hips up off of the mat. Press down with the forearms and the hands as you lift the hips up to the sky. Drive the knees forward like they're trying to push towards the top of the mat. A very slight tuck of the chin. And hold here in your bridge. On the next exhale, start to slowly allow the spine to reconnect with the mat, and the tailbone touches last. We'll come into happy baby next. So in your happy baby, this can be a little challenge as far as reaching the feet. You have several options. You can take a hold of the big toe with your peace fingers. You can take the outside edge of the feet with the hands, or you can also stay further down on the leg, either holding around the ankles or the shins, or even the leggings if you would like to take a hold of the leggings. Sometimes I like to just hold here just below my ankles. The key thing with happy baby is keeping the lower back connected to the mat. So if you find that you're trying to reach for your feet or your big toes and you're lifting up like this in happy baby, then it's a good idea to take the hands lower and keep them further down on the legs so you can feel that connection. Again, in this practice, we are grounding, so we really want to feel that connection and know that we're fully supported on our mat. So take your version of happy baby wherever you are at. The elbows should still be on the inside of the knees. And then wherever your hands are grabbing onto, you want to just pull the legs, pull the knees down closer to the mat. You'll feel a great opening throughout the back of the legs and through the hips. A nice relaxing stretch here just to collect ourselves before we close out our practice. Very good. Slowly release the feet and then take the arms and wrap them around the legs and squeeze everything in tight to the body, just as tight as you can. Maybe pick the head, neck, and shoulders up as you curl into a little ball. Send all your energy into this little ball. And then on the exhale, release. Allow everything just to shoot out. The legs come out in front of you and the arms out beside you. And then start to relax into your Shavasana. Let go of that energy. Just let go here as you sink down and feel each connection made with your mat, with your surface, with the earth. At the end of our grounding practice, we've created a sense of calm and stability in the body. And maybe even more importantly, just that deep connection that we have as we move through the body and we make connection with points on the earth. We're mindful with how our body positions itself. And we're mindful with every breath and the movements that we take during the practice. Hopefully we can take this as we move off of the mat and continue with our day. Let's just take a couple of breaths here for a minute or so and relax in Shavasana. When you're ready, start to wiggle the toes. Feel them come back to life. Start to move the fingers, maybe giving the fists a little squeeze. And from here, draw the feet in. Either come slowly onto your side, or if you feel you can take a nice slow rock up to sit. We'll all join each other back in a seated position onto the center of our mats. From here, lift the arms up tall, grow tall through the torso, and then on the exhale, draw the hands through heart center, just a little tuck of the chin as you bring them down into prayer. Thanks for joining me as always for this sequence. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit that like button and hit subscribe. Thanks for supporting my channel. Have a great day. Bye.